players are lacking this animalistic instinct when it comes to being their best self on the court, putting their best foot forward, playing at their highest level within their given role on that particular team. And that's a skill within itself. I call that skill dog energy because a dog is always ready. So here we are again to talk about dog energy. And this is a topic that I've recently become really interested in because players today are more skilled than ever. I mean, the average player today had more skills than Michael Jordan did when he was their same age. That's just a fact. Players are training, players are doing strength and conditioning earlier. They're working with people like myself that have been professional athletes and been through the rigors of developing a career, developing themselves as an athlete, and they're learning from the best of the best. Yet, when they get out on that court, they don't always know how to activate it. And there was something about back in the day, I hate to be nostalgic, but we all do it eventually. But back in the day, although we had less training, although we had less high-level teaching, we were doers. We knew how to activate when we got on that court. Some of it has to do with the fact that we played outside more, so we were more apt to figure things out on our own. We played against bigger players, older players, younger players, so we were constantly assessing the situation and learning how to apply our skills given the situation. Also, we played less back then as far as games. Players play so many AAU games, summer league games, summer camp games, that I think a lot of it is they don't bring a sense of urgency to games. What I've realized is that players are lacking this animalistic instinct when it comes to being their best self on the court, putting their best foot forward, playing at their highest level within their given role on that particular team. And that's a skill within itself. I call that skill dog energy because a dog is always ready. When the owner's ready to go outside and grabs the leash, the dog is never tired. Even though the dog does it every day, the dog is always ready to go. If a dog's on the leash or in the backyard and somebody walks by, the dog is always ready to attack or ready to lunge forward or ready to chase that squirrel or whatever the case may be. You never catch a dog lacking or slipping. He's always ready. And this is what players have to have when the ball's tipped up. Go back and watch any of our dog energy topic videos. We're talking about how to prepare, what you're doing in the dark. We're talking about how to activate once you're on the court. A lot of great topics, so listen to those. Get some nuggets on how you may be able to prepare better, how you may be able to cultivate this dog energy. But today I want to talk specifically about doing things differently, because I think that's an aspect that all successful players have. And I want to talk about this through the lens of some specific stories that I've had happen to me throughout the course of my career. One such story was when I was in high school. I had just completed my sophomore year where I averaged almost 20 points a game and had kind of made a name for myself as one of the better players in the city. So I was identified as somebody who should be on this top tier AAU travel team known as the Hawks. And I go and try out for the Hawks. They put me on the team. I'm one of the younger players. Most of the players are going into their senior year. I'm going into my junior year. I'm surprised to find out that I'm a starter. However, as a starter, they played me as a role player and not a star. And it wasn't something that really bothered me. I respected the other guys on the team. They were all great players in their own right. So I was willing to take on that role. But when we got to our first scrimmage,
like and subscribe.
And I did some of the things that had gotten me there, meaning I shot some of the shots that I was used to shooting, played with the cadence as far as handling the ball, manipulating the defense by getting into the teeth of the defense, doing some things that I was used to doing. The coach started yelling at me. He's like, no, that's not how we play. That's not what we do. And so I went through it for a quarter, and I'm like, okay, let me try to figure it out. I went through it for a second quarter, and he's still yelling at me about shooting a bad shot or not passing or over dribbling or whatever the case may be. And so we're at halftime of this scrimmage, and I just go to him and I said, Coach, you know what? Thank you, but no thank you. And a lot of coaches and parents would probably say, well, that's really selfish of you. He was trying to teach you something. And in hindsight, he probably was. However, what I was feeling within my soul was that I had just started to figure this thing out as far as this dog energy, this aggressiveness. In order to be myself, in order to be great in my own right, I had to keep that high at all times. He was trying to tell me to lessen it for the benefit of the team, which all players have to do. I agree with him. But at what level? Because in order to do this for this AAU situation, what if it caused me to be less aggressive on my high school team? I went from 20 points a game to the next year averaging 25 points a game. I believe had I played on this team, I never would have averaged over 20 points a game again. Now, obviously, I'm being facetious to a certain point, and that could just be me. Who knows? Maybe I would have been okay. But I felt like someone was coming at my dog energy, and I had to protect it at all costs. Long story short, I ended up quitting the team, going back to high school the next year, having a stupendous year. The next year, they brought in a new coach, brought me back, and I did great things with that team. Now, I'm not telling you to get a coach fired. I'm not telling you to do anything but listen to your coaches. But what I'm trying to tell you is there are sometimes situations in which you have to be different and think different in order to protect that dog energy. Fast forward another couple years, and I am a freshman in college. I'm coming in as a role player, coming off the bench, going from somebody who was the main guy with the ball in my hand in high school to really not touching the ball much at all in college. I felt like I was losing this dog identity. And what I did was I poured all of that energy into the defensive end. I became a defensive nightmare in practice. Every day in practice, I would just go all out. We could be in a walkthrough and I was fouling guys, I was ripping guys, I was blocking shots. Mind you, I wasn't a very good defender, so I was still being scored on because these guys were better than me. But I was just competing so hard because And now that I look back on it, it was because I didn't have the opportunity to compete hard offensively. I didn't have the opportunity to exercise my creativity or execute my ingenuity offensively, so I put it into my defense. And what's interesting is this began to make my teammates mad. A lot of them were like, what are you doing? Like, you are crazy. You're a lunatic. Stop fouling us. Calm down. Like, you're not going to play this year. It's your freshman year. Just deal with it. You don't have to guard like you're in the NBA Finals every day. But I continued to do it because I had to protect this dog energy. I had to protect this animalistic instinct that I had uncovered. I could not go back to being a wallflower, a sheet, a robot, someone who just did exactly what the coaches said. I had to continue to be creative. I had to continue to look like Jason out on the court. And the reason I tell this particular story is for all of you who aren't in a familiar role. Maybe you're used to being a scorer or you're used to being the team's top shooter. And for whatever reason, you just can't. And it's not an AAU team that you can just up and quit. Put that energy into something else. The point being, once you cultivate and find your dog energy, you have to protect it at all costs. My dad used to call it castration whenever a coach would try to take away my identity as a player. That doesn't mean you can't play a role. That doesn't mean you can't figure things out in a different way. Eventually, we all have to. However, you have to protect that dog energy and learn how to transfer it into other areas. That's really what today's topic is all about. I hope this helps you continue to develop your dog energy, continue to like, subscribe. Check out all of our equipment in the show notes. Use our links, use our codes to get discounts, or to support the channel by getting some great equipment from some of our affiliates. And thanks for watching.